What did you bring from wholesaling that you kind of brought here?
Everything. It wasn't a hard transition. It was just like easy. No headaches, no inspections, no walking through somebody's house with whatever they're hoarding. I have tons of those stories too.
You're just plugging away and like putting money back into the business, it sounds like, right? Not like you're going to try to get a watch or whatever it is. Like, I'm trying to grow this business. And like,
no.
Any advice for people looking to get in land investing?
Guys, do not think that it's going to take 1,000 calls to get a deal. Don't think it's going to take one call to get a deal. It's just going to take how many it takes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined by a very special guest today, Deshawn Jackson. He's a part of our community. He's done land deals. Really cool story, and happy for Deshawn to share it. Welcome in, Deshawn.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yep. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, Deshawn. And we've been trying to set this up for a while, so I'm really excited. Let's just first start off. I always kind of like want to give the listeners kind of your background. Everyone who comes on, all guests who come on our show have a different background, and listeners can take different things out of it for sure. Talk about your background a little bit before you found land investing and like how you did find it.
Okay. Background was I was welding at the time. Was welding for about maybe 3-4 years. Got into that from a friend of mine. And then I was doing that. Then my sister, she had sent me something about this thing called wholesaling. And then after that, I just became engulfed. Well, let me take a step back. At first, I thought it was one of those, get rich quick type deals. Like this guy just was on this radio. He was like, yeah, I make money and I don't have to put anything down and I have to do this and do that. And it's like flipping a contract. And I'm like, this don't sound legal. So so I do research on this guy, and I end up fast forwarding from doing houses. I end up doing land in Cape Coral, Florida. And after that things slowed down. It got really, really busy during COVID around there. And then I ended up just doing vacant lots that weren't infill, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So how long ago was it when you kind of found us? I know you've been, I'm sure you're a YouTube guru as far as listening to everything. Like you're always watching education, learning different things, which is awesome. That's what I like about you so much. But how long ago did you find us? Because I know you've been on our YouTube lives for, it seems like a couple years.
Yes. I think when you guys started to take off, I think I've been around and listening since, almost from the inception, I want to say, you know what I mean? It's been, when did you guys start? What year was it?
We started the education about 2 years ago with the podcast. It's probably about 2 years ago today, around this month, March. So yeah, we're right around there for sure. Really cool though. And you started in info lots in Cape Coral, and then how did you get into bigger lots? Was that, how'd that happen?
It was on me. I just kind of wanted to see the others. Like when I was just dealing with I was still getting the 2,500, maybe 4,000, assignments, things like that. And I was like, there's bigger acreage out here. Yeah, like there's bigger business going on out here. And I wanted to cut out the middleman because I still had somebody facilitating the deals. After I wholesaled it to him, he went on to make 20, 30, 40. So yeah.
So was it the margin that like, okay, I can do less deals and make more money?
Yes, because it takes the same time. It takes the same time to do 2,500 to 10,000 to 20,000. From what
and you at that time when you made that transition, or like talk about your education behind all this, was it strictly YouTube stuff, or did you have any programs, anything like that? Because you just invested in our program. I mean, it was a month, 2 months ago, something like that. What was kind of your education prior to that, or was it just testing things, trying things, cold calling? What did that look like?
Like you said, YouTube University. Before I got to you guys, it was this guy doing. His name was Damian Dupuis. He was in North Carolina, and he was really doing the education for me. And I just bought one guy's course, but it was never land; it was houses, and you know what I mean. Yeah. But I didn't. It wasn't a hard transition. You know what I mean? It was just like easy. You know what I mean? It was just like kind of the same thing, but it's no headaches, no inspections, no walking through somebody's house with whatever they're hoarding, you know what I mean? And I have tons of those stories too.
Yeah.
So
So what does your deal flow look like, or what kind of is your marketing strategy over the last couple of years? I know you recently started mail. Was this kind of your first batch? What has been your acquisition strategy the last 2 years or so?
I've been just cold calling, I was
Yourself.
myself, hand dialing. I mean, this is what I would do. All right, I'll tell you guys. This is what I would do. So I would start on PropStream. Shout out to PropStream for getting me here because they got me here for this far enough. But got the PropStream, got that list. I would go to True People Search or True People Finder. They're both skip tracer. You put in the information, and then I would just call each number by hand that was linked to that person. And I mean, I would call I would pull a list for 5,000 people. So with each name, say I'm calling you, you would have 4 to 5 numbers attached just to you. You know what I mean? Wow. So I'd call that. Okay, he doesn't answer, send the text message, obviously leave the voicemail, next sell. I do that hours per day.
Yeah, that's grit. That's grit, which I love.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like, and you just build it up. Like you build it up, you do some deals, you build up some capital, and then you might be able to outsource. Are you outsourcing cold calling now, or are you still, what's kind of it, what is it transition to?
Right. Well, now this is my first mailer, and I just actually got a call back today. I got an email the other day, so I haven't hired out yet as far as fielding the calls or whatever, because I have a Google service set up for that. They can just call my Google service, and they'll go straight to an answer machine, and then it's my hello, this is yeah, and then they'll get me the message, and they'll leave their offer code, and I'll call them back. So
So. Are you still doing some cold calling on days, or
I am.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, because I was.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was talking to Anthony, and he was like, it wouldn't hurt following up with the people that you already mailed. But then 100%. for my mailers, it got cut off around. I pulled about 2,400 of them. It got cut off around 2,000. So I'm cold calling the remainder 400, and they're at the bottom of the list. So that's where the big acreage is. So that it's
Love
a plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. So
yes,
what does your deal flow look like? I know we gave you an assignment fee on one in the last couple of months. That was, I don't know, 10 or 15,000. I don't remember exactly. What has your deal flow been over? I mean, you've been grinding it out, like cold calling guys, and the type of people who answer the phone, and like, it's just grit, it's determination, and it's like nothing else. It doesn't matter like what the people say on the other end. It's going to the next phone call and just making the deal happen. But talk a little bit about like what your deal flow has looked like the last couple of years.
Before last year I was about to quit. I was about to quit because I didn't get anything. Like I was calling. I was talking to God. I'm like, you know what, God? My family was looking at me funny. My brother, my sister, like, what happened? You were just doing deals left and right. Every month you had a deal, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I just keep watching videos, keep tuning in to you guys, keep on the phone. December I get a deal. Because I'm like, yeah, Lord. I was like, if I don't get a deal by the end of this year, I was like, I'm done. So I was like, so the December 20-something, I got a deal. And since then, I haven't had anything. That was my first, my mailer. So I'm waiting to see what's going on and actively calling. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's
yes,
awesome.
Sir.
I'm excited to see where that goes from. What kind of, you said you're doing cold calling, or when you were doing cold calling, because a lot of people, Deshawn, I really want to talk to those people who are kind of in your position, or where they were in their position, where maybe they can't do mail for now, and like, the mindset behind picking up the phone and dialing for 2 to 3 hours. What would you kind of tell, like, it's like they want to make a change in their life, whatever it is. And I'm sure that you're like that. Like, it didn't matter. Like, you're just going to do it. What, like, you had tough days, I'm sure, when you're cold calling like that. But talk about kind of the mindset and any advice for someone kind of in that position. Like, they know land's the thing that they want to do. They know it can provide some freedom for them. They know they can make some money in it. What kind of advice, or like, because there's days, like, I know there's days when you're cold calling that many people, and the type of people for sure. But talk about that a little bit.
You just have to have like a tunnel vision. Like, if like, say you're a horse, you got the blinders on. It's like, where do you want to be? I mean, where you are, you know what I mean? So it's like, either you can pick up that phone and make that call, or you can't be on the other side of that. You know what I mean? It's either you're going to step on this side or you're not. So every day it would get tough. I was calling when I had strep throat. I was calling back to back last year. I had lost both my grandmas. They both passed away November, December. Still was on the phone. It's like, you can't let anything stop you. You have to keep going if this is where you want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, is where you are burning you up more than where you want to be? You know what I mean? It's like, what sacrifice are you going to make for who you want to be? You know what I mean? You have to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, hey, I put in this work. Even if you didn't, man, I took all year to get a deal. To get one deal. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you really want to do? Are you going to put in the reps, or are you not? You know what I mean? You're going to build the muscle, the callus, or to know that, hey, when somebody calls you or you call them and they say, cuss you out for you know what I mean, for no reason, just wanting to buy their property, you can just be like, hey, this is just a person. I don't know what they're going through. They could be going through something. Click. This is a whole fresh new call. Hello, my name is, and it's just back to the same old thing. You don't absorb it. Just observe it. You know what I mean? Don't take it on. Don't take in everything. Just say, hey, this is what I want to do. Observe where you are and just go about it that way.
So going into those calls, like if you have a list of 100 people or 20, whatever the number is in a day that you want to hit, going into those calls, like what is your plan going in? Is it gauging motivation? Is it gauging interest? Do you have a price in mind? What do those calls look like when you have a list of 100 people? Do you look at their land at all before? What does that look like?
I typically don't look at the land. I will have the offer price. I'll have everything set up. You know what I mean? So if they want to keep, the conversation going, I have that. I don't have to stammer and let me look at my laptop or something weird. You know what I mean? And then have to take up time. So I try to get to the point and concise. You know what I mean? I go into it. Hey, this is what's going on, and I know this is what I need to say. And yes, I am gauging motivation. I'll say, hey, that's my first question. Are you interested in an offer on your property? No. Okay, next. But if so, then they say, hey, what are you offering? That's when you get caught up. Don't freeze when they say what you're offering. Go right to the, well, what we do is we like to close within 2 weeks. We like to and if that is, this is the offer that we have for you. And then from then you can go and, try to, dissect the conversation if they want to keep talking to you.
And that's key when you guys, if you're in a position, guys, to cold call where you whatever, you don't want to send mail, you can't send mail, you don't want to text, whatever situation is, and you want to pick up the phone and dial, you need to go in, like Deshawn's saying, with a number in mind. It doesn't have to be that final finality number, but what I can do if I'm calling Deshawn and I know I have a price in mind, like $40,000, whatever it is, and Deshawn's like, I want $220,000. Like, okay, we're not close.
We're not even close. No ballpark.
Exactly. Like, that number gives you, the number you have on that paper gives you like, okay, this is if we're not close to this, we just can throw this away, and that doesn't make sense for anyone. We don't want to waste each other's time for sure. Right. But if you go in with that number, it can make it makes it so much. So were you like pricing out not the mailers, I call it the data essentially, just pricing out the data kind of in bulk?
But by zip code,
and
actually.
Was that like, okay, so you self-learned a lot of that stuff.
Oh, I went into it. Like, yeah.
How do you feel like your pricing was? Pretty good?
Yeah. Because when I was calling, when I got my deal in December, it was just a piece of cake. Like, there was no haggling, there was no nothing. I was like, hey, you want this yacht number? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was like I swear it was 10 minutes of work, if that. And I only talked to him 3 times, like on the phone. His daughter really facilitated because I got her as a networking contact as well. She's an agent out there in Tennessee, so that's going to help me too going forward.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear from. And like you said, like when you're first starting, whatever situation is, like it might take you a few months. There's obviously ways to scale up faster, but like I don't like when people people try to blame external things. I don't have the funds for this business. I don't have this for this business. There's always a damn way. Like you can do, like if you have a job and you have work, like you can talk, you have a phone, like you can figure this out. You can invest. You can find $100 a month to invest in this business and cold call 1,000 people or something like that. Because those are it's cheap. How cheap is it, Deshawn? If you're trying to pull a list, get phone numbers, what does that look like?
Prop stream $100 and you could get 10,000 leads.
Yep. I mean that's for the entire year. Like, so you could cancel prop stream theoretically and pull the data, and then you got to pay for the phone number. Is that correct?
No, I looked up. I did the actual.
Oh, you
manual.
handed that.
Yeah,
okay.
I did everything old school. So I wouldn't.
Okay.
If you got it in, you do it. You know what I mean? If you got the grit, go ahead and do that. You know what I mean? But it's not for everybody, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. So talk
about, like, you did that first deal, which you obviously grinded for. That it's amazing, like, hearing that story for sure. And, like, it's only going to go up from there. Like, the more – sometimes the more friction to that first deal, some people get their first deal on their first mailer and they make $100,000 and they think everything's like warm and fuzzy and all rainbows and everything and sunshine and all of this. And like sometimes the friction to getting that first deal really builds the person up and builds their career in this business, which it makes sense. Like, okay, if it's easy the first time, I'm going to assume it's going to be easy. And when hard stuff happens, it's going to tear me down versus like everything's going to be easier for you from nothing's going to be as hard as cold calling for a whole year to get a deal. But talk about kind of what your business is going to transform into with some capital behind it as you kind of do more deals, everything like that. What is your business, how you're implementing cold calling, or is it just kind of when you have time? What does that look like going forward?
Okay, going forward, this is how I'm preparing it. Oh, can I just say something real quick? This is for guys, do not think that it's going to take 1,000 calls to get a deal. Don't think it's going to take one call to get a deal. It's just going to take how many it takes. I once hired once hired a man, what's it called? What do we hire? Man,
virtual assistant?
I'm sorry. Virtual assistant. I'm sorry. His first call, this is years ago. His first call, he got a deal for me. His first call. Number one on the list. So it's just do it, guys. But anyway, going forward for my business, this is how I plan to do it. I'm going to get the Pat Live for. I want to buy Pat Live for the answering, and then after that, I want to hire a virtual assistant who's just fielding the calls and getting the motivation and everything. Just the further step from Pat Live. You know what I mean? Yep. Doing a little bit of due diligence, see if this is what we want to do. And then it'll get back to me for acquisitions. Then I want to hire out for that. Like, so for each way I go down during the year, I want to just, kind of take a step back with each hire that I do with someone. First I just wanted, a virtual assistant, then a acquisition manager, then a disposition manager. Then I want a market analysis person who can just go and look at different markets and see what's going on, and hire them out for that as well. I'm still going to do cold calling, but it will probably be, if I'm going to do it going forward, it's going to be for the big acreage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So what's withholding you from, I don't know, theoretically because and I turn this into a coaching call a little bit. With you, like you understand cold calling so much. You've had virtual assistants in the past who have cold called you. Like what's holding you? Is it financial in terms of that? Like from hiring a virtual assistant tomorrow who can cold call for you and make 100 calls a day, where that might get you a lead or two a day. What's holding you back from doing that?
Oh, I could do that. I've been really dying to do the mail.
Yeah.
No, I've been dying to do that. Like I've been down. Like no, I just been trying. Like I just wanted to try to. Like it's okay. It'll take me whatever to call this many people. It'll take me months to call 5,000 people. But what if I can just pay and just blast this out and then turn the 100%. Outbound to inbound? You know what I mean? I just wanted to test that water. I'm not against the cold calling and still implementing that because what is it going to cost me $3 to $5 a day for a couple hours that they're just picking up the phone for me? You know what I mean? But sometimes the power dialers, those get pricey. So doing mail and I guess it is financial. Doing the mail and the power dialers, that will be the triple expensive.
For sure. And once you start adding multiple marketing, like I think you have a really good, like you said, if you can have inbound leads, like it makes everything easier. Daniel and I talk about it all the time. Like mail can be frustrating because the lack of leads, and it can also be some people get frustrated with mail because how like much free time they got. But I'm like, dude, you're still making money. Like you're getting deals. Like deals are coming. Like it's just you're bored. I've had coaching students that legitimately tell me like they're bored. Like you're doing well. You're doing deals. If you want more deals, send more mail. Like that's the answer a lot of times. But that's really cool. I think in it keeping cold calling cold calling is a ton of value for sure in your business and growing with that for sure. So you did that first deal. You've invested in education. You invested in mail and you're just plugging away and like putting money back into the business. It sounds like, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that kind of your? It's not like trying to try to get a watch or whatever it is. Like I'm trying to grow this business, and you being willing to do all that stuff is it's really cool to see. Is that kind of your mindset going forward? Just like keep plugging into the business. Like my next deal I close, I can do X. My next deal I can do X. I'm gonna get a $50,000 deal, and I just keep funneling it into the business.
Exactly, because I've like calculated. I mean, I've been hearing most people say 2,500. Mailers that'll get you theoretically get you a deal. So if you double that, okay,
Yep.
my next deal, let me double that. See what I get. The next deal, let me triple that. You know what I mean? And let me keep tripling that. And at the same time, let me see what's going on in another market. Because I was talking to Anthony, because like you said, boredom, because you're waiting on the mail. You don't know. You don't know what's going on. So I like to be busy. I was looking at another market in another state to see if I could start cold calling them while I'm waiting on these guys. So it's like, I want to stay busy. I don't want to be idle. I want to keep stuff going and see what's out there. Can I ask you
what
something?
from like your wholesaling, go for it.
I'm so sorry to cut you off. Have you done deals in Texas? How do you do that with the non-disclosure?
Yeah, I mean, non-disclosure states can have some more difficulties for sure. It's definitely possible. We've done, Kansas non-disclosure, we've done deals.
Okay.
We just bought a deal the other day in Kansas, Missouri, Idaho, Texas, Mississippi. We've done deals in all those states. The pricing aspect, like understanding sales prices in a non-disclosure state is definitely tricky. And for everyone listening, a non-disclosure state, basically they do not advertise what a property sold for. It's not public data, essentially, versus most states, 40 of the states or so all have that. So you really need to look. What they do advertise is the last list price. So if something was posted for $100,000, you can see like it went pending when it was posted for $100,000. You don't know what it went under contract for necessarily, but you're like, okay, it got listed on March 12th. It went pending on March 15th. Okay, it probably sold pretty darn close to $100,000 if it sold in 2 days. Like they're not going to take an $80,000 offer.
Right.
So that's the key, really, Deshawn, when you're looking at those non-disclosure states.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sorry.
It's something we're working on with education. It's tricky though, for sure. But talk about real fast, Deshawn, like what did wholesaling houses, wholesaling lots, all that stuff. You've brought education from different places, and the most successful people in our community do this. We've talked to so many people, and like they're either learning on the go as they're doing this, and they bring education from different spots. What did you bring from wholesaling infill lots or houses that you kind of brought here?
Everything. Everything. There wasn't anything that, like, I already knew how to call up a title company. I already knew how to like call the county and get the deed. I already know how to do that. Like, I already know I'm not scared to call any attorneys. I know how to do these things and find these people. Like, so everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything.
Yep.
So it's like a lot of stuff in your in the modules for me was like me just like kind of double checking my work, saying, okay, I'm on the right path with this. Okay, I already know like that. Not being like cocky or anything or arrogant, but it's like, okay, this is just double checking my work, saying, okay, I'm on the right path with this. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And you've been in the game so much. Like you've been staying busy. You've been in real estate. You've been doing different things. Like you're never like complacent. You've heard us talk. People who have heard us talk, the amount of hours people have heard us talk, like you're probably up there on the leaderboard in terms of the amount of hours you've heard Daniel and I talk. It's not just a few hours for sure. No. You're always active in the community, which is awesome. But any advice? Kind of ended here, Deshawn. Any advice for people looking to get in land investing? People, whatever the situation. Any advice for people kind of looking into that? It's like you're at the starting point still as far as getting started in mail, all that. But you've had a journey for sure. Any advice to people?
Courage. Stay on it.
Yeah.
Anything new, be willing to take on. And honestly, guys, find one person you want to listen to, rather that be, the Apke brothers or whomever, because I'm sure he can tell you there's nothing new under the sun that they're telling you as far as this stuff goes. Because this has all been here, so it's who are you going to pay attention to? They're doing it in a very good way, so I advise you to stick with these guys like I did. But anyway, so stay at it, stay the course, be positive, and stay on
networking too. I think networking too, Deshawn, is something that you've done really well as far as like being engaged in the community, everything like that. It's very important, guys. Like having people. We had Justin B on yesterday. It's not up yet, We had Greg and Max last week, and both of them said like their ability through struggles or through tough times. Justin was breaking even or losing money his first 6 months in the business,
Yes.
and he's made $280,000 in the last 4 months.
Way to go, Justin.
Like these people, having someone to lean on in tough times, having community, having people in our network, I think is really, really cool. But other than that, Deshawn, I really, really appreciate you coming on here today. It was a pleasure. We'll definitely do this again sometimes.
Yes,
if you
sir.
guys want to touch base with Deshawn, he's in our Discord. Very willing to help, I'm sure. Anyone who is coming in the community, any questions on this, if you guys haven't already, hit the subscribe button below if you're listening on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a review. Share it with a friend. It can really help someone, change someone's life. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.